Lots to talk about. Get your comments in as always. But I want to talk about Spurs because there's so many people this morning talking about Spurs bottling it. And I genuinely just think this is the normal pantomime you get between Arsenal and Spurs fans. And let's get a little clip on, certain outlets and stuff. But I actually thought it was just more after that Man United bore draw, which we'll talk about. I actually thought the Tottenham game was the quintessential Premier League game, much the same as Fulham at Man City was. And it's such a shame that Fulham didn't get a result. But again, let's talk Spurs. 2-0 up at half-time. Absolutely fantastic. Ange ball. Brighton showing that in the Premier League you're never dead. Played fantastic in the second half. And now people are saying Spurs have bottled it because they lost a 2-0 lead. But actually, that's what we want from the Premier League. They were away from home. 2-0, cliche. One of the hardest results in football. Everyone always says it. Don't know why. But it was proven again. 2-0 is one of the most dangerous score lines in football. You get one back. You're the home team. The crowd go for it. 2-2 with half an hour to go. And they end up winning it. I thought Brighton, I know you've been digging them out a lot. But
I've been digging them out.
You said they were overrated on Friday.
I didn't.
Well, I said they're overhated.
Yeah.
And they came back. I don't think... I think that for Spurs, it's not a great start to the season. They should have more points than they should. And obviously, they've shown they're a good footballing side and they've still got that Spursy vulnerability. But I don't think bottling it really gives the credit to Brighton they deserve.
I mean, the quintessential definition of a bottle job would be to be 2-0 up at half-time and then lose 3-2. I like Big Ange. Dare I say I love the man. But... The philosophy that he's trying to implement, I think it comes at like sharp focus when you're 2-0 up away at Brighton and end up losing 3-2 like that. That is Spursy. That is bottle job. And Brighton are above them in the table. Like Spurs have had, in elements, really good start to the season. But when you actually look at the cold, hard light of the day, and Brighton, who we've said are struggling, hadn't had a win in the last 4, are above them now. And that shouldn't be the case for where Big Ange wants to take Tottenham. Like he has promised us a second season victory, whether that's a trophy or a top 4 finish for them, and you can't be doing that. Man
United in crisis. Tottenham have only got 2 more points than Man United.
Yeah.
And that's the real quiz. That's the real crisis. Yeah. No, I mean, but I know, I think there's a level of hypocrisy because I like Ange, I like the way that Spurs play, but we know they play a high line. We know it's suicide football because they never change. We saw when they were down to 9 men a year ago against Chelsea, still playing a high line. So 2-0 up away to Brighton. Brighton are a decent side, but if you're 2-0 down to Spurs, you know what that manager's saying in the dressing room. He's saying, get one back. You'll have an opportunity for another one.
But what are you saying? Because I agree with you.
He's not going to park the bus, is he?
No, but because 1 minute you looked like you were defending Big Ange there, but like for me, I agree with you in terms of a neutral. What a game of football, especially having to sit and watch watching Villa and then watching a 0-0.
I'm not a Spurs fan. I'm not a Brighton fan. What I'm saying is, after that Man United game yesterday, I didn't come out of that game going Spurs bottle job. I just went, what a great advert for the Premier League.
No, but then I think too, what people are saying who are Spurs fans are, that is a bottle job because like this keeps happening with Tottenham, not under Big Ange, but under different managers as well. Like we are looking at an era of when was the last time they won a major trophy?
But we're not Spurs fans. Let them say it's a bottle job. We should all be going, no, brilliant. Keep it happening. We need more of this in the Premier League.
No, because if this was a Manchester City or this was a Chelsea, we'd give them the same treatment. And I really like Spurs and I want them to get up in that title thing. But there's sometimes, and I do it a lot because of my love for Big Ange, where we just go, good old Spurs losing again. Isn't that funny? We need more challenges in there.
So what's the answer, Will?
What's the answer? I think we need to be a bit more pragmatic.
I just think watching Spurs, they're probably one of the best teams to watch in the Premier League at the moment, and it reminds.
Not if you're a Spurs fan.
Well, I don't care. I'm not. I prefer. I hate Leeds. Well, I don't hate Leeds, but I dislike Leeds because I'm a Man United fan. But when they had Bielsa, I always used to say, "Watch this game; it'll be really good." And I think that Spurs have almost fallen into that Bielsa thing, where I'm just going to champion Ange and say, "Look, I'm not a Spurs fan. Must not be great for Spurs this morning, but." I like watching Spurs, and the way that they play football is really good to watch. But
I've been saying this for 18 months, and I have to be washing his car.
And now you flip-flops.
No, I'm not flip-flopped. I'm just saying you've come on here and said it's not a bottle job performance. When with reality, like Spurs want to be pushing into that top 4.
What do Spurs want? Do they want Mourinho, Nuno and Conte, still losing games like that but playing crap? Or do you want Ange ball where
Yeah.
you're getting entertained. You can't have Ange Ball and then sit back and that's what I'm saying.
No, but you can have Ange Ball and expect you can have Ange Ball and expect a victory 2-0 up at half time against the Brighton team who's not won in 4 games.
You're disrespecting Brighton.
I'm not disrespecting Brighton. I'm saying if you're 2-0 up, you're on your EAFC career mode. If you were 2-0 up and you lost 3-2,
I'd love to be 2-0 up.
Exactly. What would be the first thing said in the chat to you?
You're an amateur.
You're an amateur. Change it up. You're a bottle job. What's gone on there?
No, I get it from a Spurs point of view. I mean, look, honestly, 8 points from 7 games 10 points from 7 games for Spurs. Leicester, same thing happened, didn't take their chances. I think what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of scrutiny on the defence for Spurs because they've given up a 2-0 lead, but they're not going to park the bus. So that's actually the onus is on the attackers to go and get more goals. It was the same against Leicester. I mean, against Man United, I know they were against 10 men, but, they played so well. When Bruno gets sent off, I wouldn't have been surprised if United had sorted themselves second half, played a bit better and maybe got a draw out of that. So there is a fundamental problem with Spurs defensively, but I just think
Brighton are strange anyway, aren't they? Like we said,
it was just a good game for the Premier League. I get Spurs, but I don't get what Spurs fans are expecting. Arsenal are brilliant defensively, but they're not always great to watch. I think for Spurs, you still sort of getting over that hangover of Mourinho and Conte. You're a really good team to watch. Just be careful that you don't sort of allow what's happened at United, where the media start jumping onto Ange, because actually I think he's a good manager.
Yeah, and also. So I've been saying this for 18 months that Ange is a big manager. So do I get credit for this now? Because
you've turned on him.
I've not turned on him.
You're what's classed as a snake.
I'm not a snake. I think Big Ange will ultimately get Tottenham in the top 4.
I want to just talk about Brennan Johnson. I know the game didn't go the right way, but I think that with all this stuff that goes on around footballers and pressure from the media, I think that, and look, Brennan Johnson's pressure was from fans. I mean, we saw a few weeks ago when he had that, he scored that goal and Son took him to the crowd and he was almost terrified. It was horrible. We spoke
against
about
Coventry,
it a few weeks ago, yeah. But is it 5-5?
6-6.
6-6. I mean, that needs to be studied as to how to deal with pressure and fans turning on you. Just turn your Instagram off. Get on the football pitch and let your football do the talking.
Well, and I don't want to go all Roy Keane on this, but in our generation, there were less distractions, weren't there? And
he's not from Yorkshire.
No, but I'm just saying you have to be from Yorkshire if you talk about old times. But there's so many distractions out there now. Like we've seen how often does it happen? A young player emerges. Like Jesse Lingard's the perfect example of where I think it's really distracted a career that was, from the 2018 World Cup. Everything that came with him from the merchandise and everything to like where he is now, like that's probably a study that needs to be followed of like what can happen to your career. So great for Brennan Johnson, friend of the channel, because we've interviewed him once, so you have to officially say that. But I just really want Spurs to do well because I think that they've got the essence of one of those really good Premier League sides.
What? I mean, what do you think about Spurs? Everybody, are we putting them in the top 4, or do we just think the whole Spursiness is...
I'll tell you who's really frustrating me at the moment. Timo Werner. I only watched the top highlights of me and Niall.
So you're the first person to ever say that Timo Werner is frustrating.
I think
Tell me more.
I actually think he's on another level of frustration at the moment. Like he had a chance in Europe. I've never seen anything like it where it was like you either shoot or take him on one-on-one. He nearly ended up by the corner flag. Like, there's so many instances
of that. Well, there was one last week against United. It didn't matter. Everyone said, what a great save by Onana. It wasn't. No. It was a good save, but the finish was crap.
But I think that ties into the bigger point with Spurs of, like, to get into that top 4 now, because, I mean, you were trying to belittle Manchester United the other week by saying Aston Villa and Spurs and Newcastle have better squads than them. I think Spurs' squad depth in certain positions needs to be looked at because the names are there, but the actual talent, I don't know if it is.
I'm looking at Spurs' next few games, straight after the international break, home to West Ham, and then... Guess what it is? One of the hardest games in football.
Not Selhurst Park away.
Selhurst Park away.
Goodness me. If Big Ange survives that, then give him a 5-year contract.
To go. Selhurst Park away, Villa at home, and then Ipswich. So look, they've got to go and win 3 of the 4, haven't they?
But like it ties back to what I think I've spoken about it quite a few times now. But when a result like this happens with Big Ange, I was listening to Flav, who's a big Tottenham fan, and you should go and follow him as well. But about the Big Ange effect of second season. People really start to moan because you have results like Brighton, but he has got a history and a track record of it all coming good. So I'll be washing his car. You sound like you'll be joining me with a couple of sponges, maybe one of them crop tops.
I just think
bit like that, you're becoming.
I look at Spurs. They don't ever win anything. They very rarely get in the top four, but obviously you're not going to be happy with the results. But I think sometimes it just gets over egging the pudding by going bottling it, because what do Spurs do?
I can't believe I'm in a position where I'm sat opposite you and I'm the one egging the cake here. That was a bottle.
But they're playing good football, and I
think
Spurs fans should be happy with that.
Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video, because we all know only legends like videos, and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video, and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, as always.